Unsyndicated presents What the Puck with Sean Baligian.
And welcome to another edition of What the Puck, a special edition here, as of course our friends with the MHSAA and the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association. We're talking all things MHSAA hockey. So glad you can join us. I know if Mike were here right now, he would say the same thing. I can't wait for the new season to start. So this is part of what we're doing, talking about the greatness that is Michigan high school hockey and the proven path. You know, that is something you're going to hear us talk about all throughout this summer and into the fall. Kindly joining us right now, not only is he the head coach at Northville, of course, the home of the Mustangs, but he is also president of the Coaches Association. Let's welcome him in right now. Ryan Ossenmacher kindly joining us. And first of all, Ryan, appreciate you taking the time. I know how busy your schedule is, and of course, your dad as well. So really appreciate you taking the time. How are you, my friend?
I'm outstanding. I don't know if you heard my dog barking because my daughter's leaving for soccer right now. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't rather be anywhere else either. I mean, talking about high school hockey, any opportunity we have to do it, whether it's the summer, the fall, the winter, here we are. We're passionate about it, and let's go.
You know, it really is interesting. And I'm going to say this each and every week because it's the truth. You know, forget about what it was like 20 years ago. Forget about what it was like 30 years ago. The changes that we've seen in the last 10 years are to me, Ryan, it's immeasurable. And it all starts with the on ice product, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, we've all done a better job about this, that, and the other thing, but I want to keep it to the on ice product and the caliber of player and the caliber of teams and the amount of solid players really coming from every corner of Michigan. It really has taken a significant jump in the last 10 years.
It has, and I think Joe Ford touched on it last week. It's just the reality is that the top teams have been really good for a while, right? It's the fact that now we have the middle and some of the lower end teams that have brought their level of play up, the number of quality hockey players that continually joins high school hockey each year. I mean, we talk about a proven path. The reality is that seems like it's a fairly weekly, monthly thing where we see players who played high school hockey, maybe not necessarily at prominent programs, that are signing to play juniors or moving on to play college hockey or whatever it may be. But the reality is that the product as a whole, top to bottom, is a much deeper group than it has been in the past.
Ryan Ossenmacher kindly joining us again, president of the Michigan High School Coaches Association and head coach at Northville. You know, obviously, I want to talk about your team in a moment, and this is the community that I live in. And full disclosure, both my children went to Northville High School. But Ryan, your view of the statewide situation, I've always giving you a tip of the cap because you're somebody that's always looking at what's best for the game and how we can continue to grow this product and share the word. I'm all in. Anybody that knows me, it doesn't matter if I'm talking about it here, if I'm talking about it on Twitter, talking about it on Facebook, and a lot of people are that. But listen, we've got a lot of ways to improve. What are some of the things that you're looking at to get this product to the point that we all know it can get to?
Right. I think just Michigan as a whole. I mean, the reality is that taking Team Michigan to Minnesota, I've had different interactions and conversations with people in Minnesota. Out there, the reality is the base of their pyramid is bigger, right? So when the base of your pyramid is bigger, then the top of the pyramid can also be bigger. And so for us here in Michigan, it really starts. We're talking high school, but it starts at the younger ages. It starts with the involvement in the 6U and the 8U levels and getting more kids to play hockey here in Michigan. I mean, we have at some of the tier 1 levels, we have imports here in Michigan. We have kids coming from outside of Michigan to come in and play hockey here. I mean, we're not developing enough kids to fill our own rosters. I mean, there's something wrong with that. And a quote that I share, and I stole it from someone, I'd give him credit, but I don't remember who it was. Success leaves clues. And the reality is, if we're the state of Michigan or we're high school hockey or we're youth hockey, we need to see what works and what doesn't, and we need to follow those paths. We know that Minnesota is the bread and butter as far as it's concerned with moving on hockey players here in the United States, and it's not close. It's them, and then everybody else comes in second, third, fourth, and fifth. Distance ways. You look over in the Scandinavian countries, and what do they do? And the reality is a lot of that is the idea of community-based sports, whether that's in the high schools or the youth on the way down. And here in Michigan, we need to get back to that. And as coaches and high school coaches, we've talked about that. And my staff, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're getting involved with the Novi Youth Hockey Association this coming year. We're going to rebrand it, help them rebrand it. But we need to get more involved in the youth programs to make sure that our kids stay involved in hockey. If you just look at the number of kids who leave hockey after their 7, 8 years, it's astounding. And why? Well, because they start trying out for another team in December. Maybe it's in January, maybe it's in February. Maybe they're told they're not good enough to play on that team, and they know it. And so I don't know how, as a 10-year-old, I'm developing when I know half my friends are leaving that team to go chase another team the next year. And so you look at the kids who come to us that tend to be some of the better hockey players. They tend to be from groups that have stayed together for a handful of years, right? They have familiarity with each other. They believe in each other. They love each other. Their coaches believe in them. And so long-winded answer for us, it really starts getting investment at the youth levels and bringing those kids up to aspire to play high school hockey. The truth is that, a Novi Northville hockey game, if you're a kid who lives in Novi and Northville and you go in the rink for one of those games, give me a break. Like, that's next level stuff, regardless of who wins. Hopefully it's Northville, but regardless, what an atmosphere. So long-winded answer for us, our product starts at the base. And for us, it's just the involvement and understanding of, let's play high school hockey. Let's get to that level. So
I will piggyback on that. We had a chance to do a game with state champs last year, the night before Thanksgiving, with Northville and Novi. To see the barn packed and to have the band there, I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. The atmosphere was fantastic. And Ryan, that's something I appreciate about you, because I know in your time at Northville, you've brought the band out there. Look, it's little things sometimes that add to that makes you say, this is an experience that you're going to get at high school. You're not going to get at another place. And yes, oh, by the way, there are scouts watching, but in terms of bang for your buck and having that experience that you can't get at other places, man, you guys got the market cornered there.
Well, and it's so true. Everybody watched college sports for the pageantry of it, right? Like, I just saw something the other day, the 10 best entrances for college football and the best place to go watch college baseball. But the reality is, like, in high school, they're events, right? These games are events. We try to make them special, right? Whether that's the bands in town or you're simply using it as a fundraiser for your community, right? You're doing something that is just not a random Tuesday game or the fourth game on a Sunday where nobody's there, and we're talking about scouts. The reality is that in today's day and age with Live Barn and Spidio and all the opportunities, youth hockey, TV, like, it doesn't matter where you play. You could play on Mars, and the people that have the opportunity to watch you, like, they're going to watch you, right? And so it's such a fallacy that you have to go to a certain place to play to get noticed. 30 years ago, okay, that argument holds some water, but with the advent of technology, just look at what you guys do with state champs. You could play under a rock and somebody would be able to find you. It's just, and so it's not true anymore. And the atmosphere is just, that's a huge part of it. When we played them this year, you've got, a handful of some of the better kids in the state out there. It's just, what an atmosphere, what a game. And you know what, we're not that far away from doing that again, day before Thanksgiving. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Ryan Ossenmacher, of course, the president of the High School Hockey Coaches Association, head coach at Northville. I'm going to go back to what you said a couple minutes ago, because I think that's a great quote. Success leaves clues. And I had a chance to talk to some mutual friends of yours, the great folks at College Hockey Inc. And it's amazing when people take the time to look at the data and to do a good job of collecting those names. you're seeing guys like our next guest on this very show that are leaving high school hockey now, that are going to play in the OJ, that are going to play in the NAL, that are going to play in the USHL, and eventually getting to college hockey or to other levels. And those are some of the clues that we've seen a plethora of in the last few years, not to mention, Ryan, and you had an up close and personal look at this, the success that Team Michigan has had as well the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. College Hockey Inc. For those who aren't familiar, they just do the research on where kids come from. Right, their job is to try and get kids to play college hockey. And so when you look at the data that they're able to provide for us and other organizations, I mean, 30% right now, roughly 30% of all Division I college hockey players played high school hockey. The numbers go up when you include NCAA Division III. I've been fortunate enough to work on a proven path sort of project that we have right now. We chose 8 alumni who are currently in Division One, and we were fortunate to get quotes from all those young men that what high school hockey meant to them. You had Tanner Rowe on last week from Michigan, Calumet, and if you look at the quotes, while they are different, and each one of these are unique young men, and their paths were all different, the heart of their quotes are all very similar. Playing with my buddies in front of my friends, the opportunity to do that and play for my community, play for something bigger than myself. Like that is what drives success. Again, if you look at Minnesota, these kids have this end goal in mind. It's not just to make it through a season. It's literally to get to the Excel Center. And that's powerful, right? When you have that in front of you, that windshield wiper effect of this is what I want to do. I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive. And when you go to Team Michigan, like that's the example. When we talk to those players, I mean, we won it 2 years ago, and I think it's something like 16 or 17 of those 20 guys are playing somewhere now. Nick May, who's on the call a little bit later, he was on it the year before. But you look at that, and when we talk to them before we go out there, I'm like, hey guys, like this is your opportunity to represent Michigan. Like you walk off the plane, you're Michigan. Like there is no other opportunity like that. Whether you're playing for your high school or a club team, when you're wearing that Michigan thing, that's you're the state of Michigan. And then, for example, like Northville, when our kids wear the Northville jersey, like they're Northville, right? When they walk the hallways or they walk the streets, they're Northville. I mean, we were fortunate enough last night, the Bobcat Bash at Ammerman Elementary School, like huge party. We had 25 hockey players, slinging ice cream and popcorn and, hanging out with elementary age, kids, helping them on the bounce house, whatever. Like that's what it's all about. It's not about driving 5 hours to play a game so I can come home later that day or miss a Friday of school. Like that's not what it's about. It's not what they do in college. So anyway, that's Team Michigan though. Just to get back to that, this year's group with Ricky Gadwell, the seniors, and Dave Mitchell, like it's just fun to watch. And those kids are great ambassadors for the high school hockey game, and more importantly for their communities. Yep.
It's a great thing, and I will piggyback on what you said. When I had a chance to work with the Whalers, my boss and my friend Mike Vellucci, who, went on to be an assistant general manager with the Carolina Hurricanes and now an assistant coach with the Pittsburgh Penguins, he put it succinctly 10 years ago, and it rings true today. If you can play, they'll find you. This isn't, Ryan, with all the technical advances that you mentioned. I mean, whether it be, barn, whether it be stream, whether it be cameras in the rink, if you can play, people are going to find you. And I always kind of chuckle to myself when somebody feels, well, am I going to be noticed? Of course you're going to be noticed. If anything, you're probably going to get more coverage playing at this level. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter when you're talking about media coverage, when you're talking about, ventures like this. I mean, this is becoming a big thing. And I think that's such an outdated comment now, Ryan, well, am I going to get noticed?
Right.
Look, I'll go right back to Mike Vellucci. If you can play, they'll find you.
Right. 100%. I mean, it's, I'll add to a few things. Like I just got off the phone a week ago or so with Rob Rassi, assistant coach at U of M, asking like, hey, we need to get some Michigan high school kids out here on campus. Like, we're looking to do something, things like we need to dive into that community a little bit more. Like that's the University of Michigan, right? I'm going to share a story. Maybe I'm going to go over on my time here, but Nick May, he's patient. it's a story. And again, I give credit to whoever I got it from, but I don't know. And it's the story of this coin, and the guy's got a coin, and he's sure it's valuable, right? So he goes to the local jeweler, and the jeweler says, I can't tell if this is valuable or not. And then he goes, all right, when he hops in his car and he drives 2 hours with this same coin. And the guy says, I'm not sure. It looks like it could be, but I'm not sure. He says, forget this. I know this is worth a lot. Hops on a plane, buys a plane ticket, flies across the country. Jeweler there says the exact same thing. Comes home and he says, you know what? Maybe I polish the coin. Spends a couple days polishing the coin, brings it to the local jeweler and says, yep, this is worth a lot of money. We spend so much time in youth sports, and hockey's not unique, chasing what is our next team, what is our next opportunity, versus polishing the coin, versus taking care of our skills. And to your point of like the exposure part, there's a fine line between being exposed and exposure, and so many of our kids are so concerned about exposure that they're not worried about getting exposed. And so for high school, our product is about development, right? It's not about recruitment. It's about developing kids. It's about developing the whole athlete. Like if my second line players are not good enough, I don't get to look on the outside and say, hey, I got to find this new second line next year. I got to look at myself and say, how do I develop them to get them where they need to be? And so that is the product. Like other youth sports, and again, hockey's not unique. It's about recruiting for the next year. Well, then if it's about recruiting for the next year, then you can give up on the team you have now because you're just going to get new players. I'm not, right? And I like it that way, right? I want to be able to take these kids and watch a kid go as a sophomore on the fourth line to playing on his first line as a senior and having a great experience along the way and maybe get an opportunity. Or, we talk about some of these other guys that are going to come on the call. Nick May, for example, or, Joey Larson eventually here, who's tearing it up, and he's going to play pro hockey, but he's a kid, you're playing third or fourth line minutes on what you view to be a great team. And that's great. But the reality is, are you getting power play minutes? Are you getting PK minutes? When the goalie's pulled at the end of the game, are you on the ice? And if the answer is no to any of those, then you're probably not in a position, unless you are on an uber elite team, to actually move on. Because last time I checked, the scout doesn't go to a coach and say, hey, tell me who your ninth best forward is. Right. I mean, that scenario doesn't happen very much. And so at Northville, we practice. We're on the ice 6 days a week. If we have a Saturday game, we're on the ice 6 days a week. And we just booked, and we're keeping Sunday ice. Our guys might have the opportunity, if they want to be on the ice 7 days a week. Now, that's a lot, and we probably wouldn't do that. But they have the opportunity if they wanted to. Right. I mean, this summer, we'll be on the ice 3 days a week. Show up in flip-flops and T-shirts, hop on the ice for 50 minutes, get some skills in, go train at the high school, and then go jump in a pool. Right? Like, how do you not get better doing that? And so I think for that, the high school model is designed around development. It's the same reason why now you see more guys playing at the higher levels playing college hockey, right? Guys in the NHL, the percentage of NHLers from college hockey now is significantly higher than it was 20, 30 years ago. Why? Well, because higher end kids now realize I go get a great education. I have a nutritionist. I have a weight coach. I get free ice, like my class over. I go work on my skills and I practice. I play on the weekends. And then, you know what? Next thing you know, I'm playing pro hockey. And maybe I got a degree in my back pocket in case it doesn't work out. High school hockey is that. That is the idea behind it, right? I mean, we have study halls, right? Video, like all these things. We try and mirror college. College tries to get kids to the next level. So anyway, long-winded, but I'm just passionate about it. I believe in it. I've been involved in high school hockey now for over 20 years. And so it's, I wish I knew now, back when I was 20 years ago, I wish I knew the things I did now, right? When I first stepped in, I wasn't a very good coach at all. And the things that I've learned over the way, I could have done a lot more 20 years ago. So.
Well, I think you did a nice job of summing up the term "the proven path," and that's going to be something that we talk about all summer long. I mean, not only for the individual, but the way that Ryan described it. Getting into some of those habits now, they're habits that you're going to be using in college, and they're habits for a lot of guys that can get you on even beyond that as well. Ryan, I know what a busy guy you are. I think everybody can tell from the passion that you showed here. You've been a fantastic leader, not only of the teams that you've coached, but certainly a fantastic president for the Michigan High School Coaches Association. Really appreciate everything you do. And I say this to you almost every time I talk to you. Anything you need, pal, I'll help you out in any way that I can. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Sean. And the work that you do, I think everybody realizes, right? I mean, we appreciate everything that you've done to help us. Like we said, this is, a Saturday afternoon. There's a lot of places you could be barbecuing or doing whatever, but here we are talking high school hockey. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You got it. Ryan Ossenmacher kindly joining us again, the president of the high school, the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association, and of course, the head coach at Northville. Well, I don't want to keep this guy waiting any longer. We mentioned him earlier in the show. This is a guy that, here's that term again, the proven path. This is a guy that can speak to that path. I'm going to let him tell you about his path. No two paths are the same. And that's why we want to get some of these guys on. We talked to Tanner Rowe, of course, who is playing at Michigan now from Calumet, but Nick May is a guy, boy, it doesn't seem like that long ago. I watched this guy at the high school level. He's been able to move on. Kindly joining us now. And first of all, Nick, really appreciate you taking the time. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. How are you, bud?
No, I'm doing good, of course. No, thank you guys. This is awesome. Like just Ryan just said, like the stuff you guys do for high school hockey and all that, it's awesome. So I was more than glad to, come on today.
Well, let's start with your experience because, as I mentioned, we could sit here and talk about this experience or that experience. I think the best thing that you can do is let somebody tell their own story, and your story is unique. How you ended up in the Michigan high school ranks. Tell everybody about your background.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I actually my first 2 years of high school, I went to Catholic Central and I was a AAA kid. So I played for CompuWare and then Little Caesars. And it was kind of that same thing. I was like, I'm better than that. High school hockey's, it was just looked down upon then. And I got to my junior year. I was still at Little Caesars during COVID. And it was just one of those things where I was almost getting lost in the shuffle. Kind of, I knew I was a good player, but it was something where maybe I wasn't getting the looks here or the opportunities here. And then I transferred to Salem for my junior year as well. And I was talking to some buddies, and Ryan reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, like I think this could be the spot for you." So I did a little bit more digging, obviously, and I kind of came to that decision like this is where I want to play hockey. Like it was a place for me where I could work on my skills and develop things because there was some flaws in my game where it was I needed to get better if I wanted to, move on and play junior hockey. And that model of skating every day, coaches that believe in me and all that, like it was exactly what I needed to move on to the next level. And I don't know. I can't say enough about high school hockey. The experience I had, I wish I played more years, honestly, more than just 1 year, but you know, I can't, yeah. Ryan really kind of opened my eyes to, what high school hockey really is. And, yeah, it was an awesome experience, something I'll never forget.
Nick, if I had a dime for the amount of times I talked to a young athlete like yourself over the last few years where they pulled me aside and they did the whole Mr. Beligian thing. And first I always say, please, I'm Sean. Mr. Beligian's my dad. But I can't tell you how many times somebody said to me, Mr. Beligian, if I knew then what I know now, I wish I did this my sophomore year. I wish I did this my junior year. And I always want to make this clear. That's not taking a shot at any other entity, but I think a lot of times it's a situation where, much like you, people don't know how fun it is. People don't know how competitive it is. And you can't put a
Mhm.
price tag playing in front of your peers, playing in front of your friends. And some of those Salem games and the atmospheres are awesome. I mean, that had to be something different for you, right? Playing in front of a full barn, people screaming your name and everything.
Exactly. I mean, like the year before, I'm playing in front of just parents, all our parents, maybe a couple siblings, and then the next year, like those park games, it's kind of a interesting dynamic, obviously, at Salem, Plymouth, and Canton. But those park games, when you're playing against buddies that you have class with, earlier in the day, and you go out there, and then the whole school's there. I mean, we got 6,000 kids in our school, and just to see everyone support you and be there, it was like such a change, and it it was awesome. Like, just seeing your buddies in the stands, like, they even made little fat heads for us of, like, our faces, just, like, seeing your face when you're skating around, you're like, "This is the coolest thing in the world. Why didn't I? Like, why didn't I start this sooner?" It was
Nick
yeah,
May kind
awesome.
No, absolutely. Nick May kindly joining us. Fast forward, your high school career ends, and Salem is one of those programs. It's still to this day. It just seems like it's creeping up every year and getting closer and closer and closer. A lot of
Mhm.
respect for not only what Ryan did there, but certainly what the new staff is doing as well. But um, what came next for you? You left Salem. You were obviously a guy that you had an opportunity to continue your career because of your talent. Tell everybody about your path to get to where you are now.
Okay. So yeah, honestly, the biggest thing for me for getting recruited for the next level was that Trenton showcase. I mean, you look in the stands and there was 30 different guys, and that's where I first actually talked to Leamington and then kept in touch with them or whatever. And then a couple of weeks went by. I was, between a few options or whatever, and Justin Soltz, the general manager here, was like, "Hey, like I saw you at that Trenton showcase. Like you were playing top teams, top players. We played Byron Center and Midland Dow, the team that won the state championship that year." He was like, it was good hockey. Like you're a good hockey player. I want you to come here." And it's worked out. I mean, my first year here, we won a junior B championship and then transitioned into the OJHL, which, kind of lucky, but it worked out that way to be able to, move up level, which was honestly my goal, originally after playing that first year junior. But like it's like you guys were saying, like scouts are there. Like you think they're not there, like they're there. Like especially at those showcases and like you said, live barn, instat, all that different stuff. Like they're watching and they will find you, and that's what Justin was saying to me. He was like, "Hey, I've been watching you all season. Like, this is the first time I've talked to you at the showcase, but we've been, watching all season. Different guys on my team. Obviously, he was talking to at that point as well. So, yeah, like that was kind of my path, and it worked out that way. And the showcase was, yeah, that was the biggest thing for me was that showcase where you're under playing all the best teams and all eyes are on you.
Nick, it's so funny to hear you say that because I need to piggyback on what you said there just to let people know. You mentioned your general manager. I know Matt Dumichel as well with Leamington. I've known him for years. I can't
Mhm.
tell you how many times I've seen him at different games, and he knows I'm out 3, 4, 5 times a week, and he'll say to what do you think about this kid from Salem, or what do you think about this kid from Brighton, and that's the thing I think lost in all of this is maybe as a player, you're looking up in the stands and you see your girlfriend or you see the big fat head or whatever. What you don't see are those guys sitting there with the program in their hand up in the corner of each building every night in a barn. And sometimes there's a bunch, sometimes there's a few, but every
Mhm.
night there are eyes on you, keeping track of what you're doing. And a lot of times I think that's a great story that you told because a lot of times they might not reveal themselves to you until you're playing at the Trenton Showcase or you're playing in the Adam Mitchell Showcase or whatever the case may be. But that doesn't mean that they're not watching you.
1 second, I'm in this room and it's a little loud,
That's all right. It's all good.
but yeah, no, like I know I'm at the rink, so it's a little
All
tough
right.
right now in the middle of main camp. But no, even like I guess to piggyback off that, like we have a designated US scout who's there at all the AAA games, all the high school games. Like he's there along with Matt and even our general manager too. He's out as well. And like it's they're always watching, even if you don't think they are. And it's awesome.
What a great place to play. I mean, what is it, about 40 minutes away from where you live? I mean, depending on what the traffic's like at the border, but what is it, about 40 minutes to get over there to Tomato Town? I mean, what a great experience. Tell me about that experience for you, man. How are you liking it with the Leamington Flyers?
Oh, it's awesome. It's everything I've honestly ever dreamed of high school hockey. I live, yeah, like you said, it's an hour and 15 minutes with the border from my house. So like today even I have main camp today and I drove this morning to come here. Like was here, nothing, quick little drive. I might go home tonight. You never know. But honestly, like this town is awesome. Like all they do is hockey. They love hockey here. So at our home games, we have 1,000 fans in the stands. Like it's loud. There's people cheering your name. They got jerseys on. It's awesome. And then I also can't say enough about our management. Our management, like they treat us like pros. It's pretty cool. I mean, we get everything we ask for if we need it. Like they get food on bus trips because Our bus trips are a little longer now in the OJ with all the Toronto teams, but it's first class. I mean, it's like I do feel like a pro sometimes, and we skate every day like the high school model. It's awesome. It's something I can't say enough about Leamington. That's why I don't want to leave. I mean, I'm not going to be my overage year this year, so spent 3 years here, and I don't want to leave. So that's all
That's
I can say
awesome.
about it.
One more thing before we let you go, and we can't thank you enough. Nick May kindly joining us. Leamington Flyers, of course, former Salem Rock. One of our listeners said, represent the Mitten boys. And I got to ask you about your experience for Team Michigan. What was that like for you representing the Mitten?
Oh, I mean, that was the coolest thing in the world. And having my coach be a coach as well. It was like the perfect send off almost to like and I had my best friend since I was a little kid is Alex Mazuka.
Mm-hmm.
So we were on the team together. So it was the coolest thing in the world. And then you're playing against Minnesota teams, Wisconsin, and you're like Ryan said earlier, I'm Michigan. Like I'm representing Michigan. I still have my little lanyard. It's the state of Michigan, like hung up in my room. It was the coolest experience in the world. Like all the fans were in the stands there too, scouts, everything. Like it was loud. Even we're playing Minnesota team. That Minnesota team's always good, and it was just really good hockey. Like it was just fun to be a part of. World class coaches, Sean Clark and Rick Gadwell. Like it was unbelievable experience. Like eh, representing your state, because I've never really done that before. Like, I've
Sure.
never had the opportunity to represent Michigan versus in other sports, maybe you do a little bit more. So it was, yeah, the coolest thing in the world to just put on the Block M almost and, represent the state of Michigan. It was unbelievable.
Nick, you have been an outstanding spokesperson for not only the game of hockey, but certainly the game that we love so much. I think high school hockey has got it going on. Continued success to you. Don't be surprised if you see me sitting over at a Leamington Flyer game as well. You and your teammates, you guys were a heck of a lot of fun to watch, and that's a program that keeps creeping up. Look out for the Salem Rocks. They've done a
Yes.
fantastic job for a while, and continued success to you, man. I hope to see you at a game really soon over in Leamington.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean. Like Brian said, what you guys do for us and the videos of all the kids and stuff, it's first class. We really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, Nick. Continued success. Nick May
Awesome. Thank
kindly
you.
joining us. Salem Rocks, Leamington Flyers. And, this is what we're going to do all summer long. This is something near and dear to my heart. Yeah, this is personal to me. I love this product. I really do. And, it's funny. Bill said, how is the balance in today's MHSAA hockey between East Michigan and West Michigan? Is it a good competitive balance? I can answer that. I think what you're seeing is you're seeing West Michigan go like that. For years, Granville had it going on, and now you're seeing Byron Center. I mean, Byron Center won a state championship 2 years in a row. You've seen East Grand Rapids come this close. I think Grand Rapids Catholic Central and Mike Slobodnik is another program that they're always there. They're always knocking on the door. They always have to be accounted for. Forest Hills Central has had a slew of good teams. Forest Hills NE has made some runs to the Final Four, but I think there's a difference between getting to the Final Four and having a heck of a lot of success there. I mean, let's face it, like every other level of hockey, these guys are playing for championships. And I think the last couple of years to see East Grand Rapids come oh so close, and then to see Byron Center, punch their ticket and be a state champion. I think that's, obviously it's great for them. I think it's great for the game as well, because it's telling a lot of those kids on the west side, hey, listen, this is a viable option. This is a place where you can go to USA Hockey Arena. And you could search my Twitter. I took a picture of the Friday night game. It was Clarkston and Brighton. It was standing room only. I mean, you have to lock the doors at USA Hockey Arena. You can't let anybody else in. Now, where are you going to get an atmosphere like that? As Coach Ossenmacher said earlier, going to that Northville Novi game the night before Thanksgiving, not only are the stands full of fans and students and parents, but you got the band there adding to that ambiance. And I think you ask anybody, I think that's part of what has made the Yost experience. And I don't care who you root for. That's part of what's made the Yost experience such a cool experience, is that Michigan band that's always there and adding to that ambiance about the game. So, Bill, to answer your question, I think, you've seen the West Side go like this, and I'm going to reiterate what I said. A program like Salem that's been going like this, that has put a scare into many of the, I always use the term usual suspects, and now they've become one of the usual suspects. And those are the coolest stories to me, when a team kind of bursts on the scene and you're like, "Ooh, who's this?" And then in 2 or 3 years, with continuity, all of a sudden they become one of the usual suspects. And you've seen that a lot around the state. And last week we talked to Tanner Rowe. Calumet's going to bring it. Every single night when you play Calumet, you know that it's going to be a difficult game. Regardless of what their talent level is that year, they're going to play a certain way under Coach Giacchino. Houghton's another place like that. I mean, yeah, of course, you want to go travel up there to the Coliseum. You want to travel over to D Stadium. But you know what? There have been so many darn good teams. And whether it be Micah, who's been at the helm the last year, Coach Markham before him, with Houghton, you better bring your A game, because if you don't, regardless of the talent level, they're going to play hard. And so to me, that's the best thing about it. I tell anybody who will listen, and we're going to wrap this up in just a second. And Blake, thank you in particular for making yourself available on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. I tell anybody who will listen, are you a hockey fan? Okay, cool. Chances are if you're watching this, you're a hockey fan. If you're a hockey fan, go out to your local barn. Go to a Trenton game. Man, I'll tell you what, you want atmosphere, go to Trenton. Check out, a game. And not just the showcase. Everybody wants to go to the big events. Go see Trenton. I'll tell you what, just a great hockey community, great people down there. Go to a Livonia Stevenson game. Go out to Brighton. Go out to Heartland. Wherever you may be, go check out a game. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised at the level of play that you're going to see. And as we're going to discuss all summer long and into the fall, this is my coping mechanism, waiting until when I can go out with my friends. Is you're going to see every week we're going to talk to a different guy, like Tanner Rowe, like Nick May, that have been able to move on, that have gone to the OJ, that have gone to the Null, that have gone to the USHL, that have moved on to Division 1 or Division 2 or whatever division hockey, and have been able to continue their career. And as Coach Ossenmacher pointed out, get that education as well. Hey, in a perfect world, every kid out there would make it to the National Hockey League. It doesn't work that way. So you need something to fall back on, and that's pretty stinking cool. That is all the time that we have. We are going to talk again next week, and really every week until the new season starts. I want to thank our guests. First of all, Ryan Ossenmacher, doing a great job as the president of the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association, now coaching Northville, former coach at Salem. And of course, one of his players was Nick May, playing for the Leamington Flyers, now formerly of the Salem Rocks. For my pal Blake, my name is Sean Belegian. Until the next time, hopefully we'll see you at the rink very soon. Bye-bye.
What the Puck, featuring Sean Belegian. Produced by Todd Losey and Blake Matrazek. Executive produced by Sean Belegian and Todd Losey. Theme song and incidental music by Elliot Middleton. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe to What the Puck on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Got something to say to Sean? Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.